You walk in to visit your grandmother and something feels off. Maybe there's a bruise you weren't told about. Maybe she seems scared in a way she didn't used to be. And maybe the room smells bad, like rotting flesh. Or maybe she's lost a lot of weight. The staff has an explanation and it sounds sort of plausible. So you tell yourself, well, it's probably nothing. I mean, they wouldn't lie to me, would they? Here's what I've learned in 25 years of handling these cases. Yes, nursing homes do lie to family members every day. So look, that instinct that you're pushing down, that's worth listening to. The families who act on it quickly are the ones who get some answers and hopefully stop the harm before it gets worse. I'm David Terry, a nursing home abuse and neglect attorney based in St. Louis and handling cases all over Missouri and Illinois. And here are 5 things that you need to take seriously right now and exactly what to do when you see them. Sign number 1, unexplained injuries. Bruises and falls happen in nursing homes, but when injuries keep appearing without a clear explanation, or when the explanation changes 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times, that's a different situation. What you are looking for is a pattern. Repeated bruising in the same locations without a documented fall or incident, well, that's a red flag. Missouri and Illinois make it clear that nursing homes are required to notify key family members of significant injuries. And if you're discovering an injury for the first time during a visit, and that injury happened days ago, that failure to notify is itself a violation, and it's a red flag. I've had more cases than I can count where residents are seriously injured and no one in the nursing home seems to have any idea what happened. So what do? You photograph any visible injuries immediately. You video them as well. You write down exactly what you're told, who said it, and when. And if the story changes, you write that down too. And if you can't get a straight answer, report the facility to the state. In Missouri, you can call the Missouri Adult Abuse and Neglect Hotline at 1-800-392-0210. In Illinois, you can call the Department of Health's Nursing Home Complaint Hotline. It's 1-800-252-4343. Now, sign number 2, sudden changes in mood or behavior. Now, look, you know your family member better than anyone in that facility does. And when their personality shifts, when somebody who's outgoing goes quiet, or when someone calm becomes anxious and fearful, you need to pay attention to that. These changes will often get dismissed as dementia or sundowning, and sometimes that's true. But when behavioral changes are tied to specific staff members or specific times of day, that pattern really matters. Emotional abuse, like yelling, threatening, humiliating, or isolating, that's taken as seriously under the Missouri and Illinois law as physical abuse is. Now, it's harder to see and it's harder to prove, but the damage to the resident is still quite real. So what do you do when you suspect this? Again, write down everything that you observe and when you observe it, and ask your loved one directly whether they feel safe. And if you notice changes connected to a specific person, document it and report it to the director of nursing or the administrator. Always, always trust your gut. Sign number 3, poor hygiene or unsanitary conditions. All nursing homes are legally required to keep residents clean and living in a safe, sanitary environment. In Illinois and Missouri, there are no exceptions to that. When basic hygiene is neglected, it's almost always a staffing problem. There's just not enough people to do the job. And how does that result with your family member? Well, you'll see greasy hair, dirty nails, unchanged clothes, a room that smells like urine or feces. And these aren't just minor inconveniences. They are signs that the facility just isn't providing the most basic care to your loved one. And they're entitled to receive that. And they're paying to receive that. And poor hygiene, that escalates fast. Skipped repositioning leads to bed sores. Skipped oral care leads to infections. I once had a case where a resident was terribly neglected. He was sent to a local hospital where they described him as follows. The note says, nursing advised social services that patient arrived very dirty. It appeared that the patient had little to no mouth care because the patient had significant buildup in his mouth that came out in clumps. Also, the patient had secretions from his trach that encrusted on his chest from shoulder to shoulder down to his mid-upper sternum. I was so angry when I read that. What that poor guy had to put up with was just maddening to me, that human beings would do that to another human being. So what do you do if you witness poor hygiene or unsanitary conditions? Document what you see with photographs and video. Ask to review the care logs. Write down what you see and who his caregivers are. Talk to the head nurse, the director of nursing, and the administrator, and insist that conditions improve. Do not blow up at them or threaten to sue them or yell at people. That just hurts your situation. Be polite but firm. And if conditions don't improve within a day or two and continue to be better, then escalate to the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, or in Illinois, the Illinois Department of Public Health. Sign number 4, rapid weight loss or signs of dehydration. Now look, appetite naturally decreases with age, but rapid, unexplained weight loss, now that's different. If your loved one looks noticeably thinner or seems constantly thirsty and shows dry lips and cracked skin, that's when you need to start asking questions. Nursing homes are required to provide adequate nutrition and hydration tailored to each resident's needs. And when that's not happening, the consequences can happen fast and they can be severe. Malnutrition and dehydration can cause confusion, infection, and hospitalization within days. In my experience, this usually comes down to one thing, and I've said it before and I'll say it again: just not having enough staff members to help residents who need assistance with eating or with getting a drink of water. So what do you do if this happens to your loved one? Ask to see the weight records. Now those should be logged regularly. Look for signs of dehydration. That's the dry lips or sunken eyes or confusion. And again, take pictures, take videos. Ask staff specifically what your loved one ate and drank in the last 24 hours and get documentation of it. And if you can't get clear answers, call the hotline or contact an attorney. Step 5, fear of staff or requests not to be left alone. Now, this is a hard one because it requires you to take something seriously that the facility will almost certainly try to explain away. When a resident who has never complained asks you not to leave, when someone flinches at a staff member's approach, when a person who's always been independent seems suddenly anxious about being alone, that's not normal aging. That's a person trying to tell you that something's wrong. Residents have the right to be free from verbal, physical, and emotional abuse. The fear doesn't have to be a physical harm. Threats and intimidation are equally serious, and I've seen them do equal damage. So what do? I recommend you start visiting at different times. Be unpredictable. Go on evenings and some weekends. Now, weekends, that's when staffing is thinner. You'll notice that when you go in there, and you'll want to see how they're taking care of your loved one with reduced staff. Watch your loved one's body language around different staff members, and ask them directly whether anyone has frightened them or been mean to them. And if your gut's telling you something is wrong, trust your gut. So what to do right now? Well, I've mentioned those 5 things: unexplained injuries, sudden behavioral changes, poor hygiene, rapid weight loss or dehydration, and fear of staff. Any one of these is worth taking seriously. So to summarize, for each of these things, talk to your loved one privately, away from the staff members. Get specific answers from the staff. Don't get reassurances. Ask who was on the shift, what was documented, and when it was first noticed. Document everything: photographs, videos, dates, names, exact quotes. Your notes are so important to your lawyer. Can't tell you how much your lawyer will appreciate that. Call the Missouri Adult Abuse and Neglect Hotline if that's a relevant issue for you at 1-800-392-0210. Or if you're in Illinois, the Illinois Department of Public Health is at 1-800-252-4343. And I promise you, if you're watching this from a different state, your state is going to have an equivalent state agency that oversees nursing homes. So look them up and call them as well. Every state also has what's called an ombudsman program. They are advocates for residents. So if you need an advocate inside the facility, you might consider calling your local ombudsman program. If your loved one is in immediate danger, contact law enforcement or arrange to get a transfer to a hospital or another nursing home. Now let me explain why speed matters here. Every day without action is another day that harm can continue, and another day where evidence can disappear. Staff can get transferred. Staff can leave. Security footage sometimes gets overwritten. That happens a lot more than you would think. And look, there's also legal deadlines in Missouri and Illinois for taking action in these cases. Waiting too long can limit your options, even when the neglect was really serious. And waiting too long may put your loved one at further risk. Now, if you're not sure whether what you're seeing rises to the level of legal neglect, that's exactly the kind of question that I'm here to answer and that other lawyers that handle nursing home cases can answer. You can call my office for a free consultation. I'd be happy to talk with you. Now, you know the 5 signs that demand immediate action and what to do when you see them. The next question most families ask is, how do I actually prove what happened? The answer in large part is documentation. And the most powerful document in virtually every nursing home case is the care plan. My next video is called How Care Plans Can Help Prove Nursing Home Negligence. And that walks you through exactly how that works. So go watch that video next, and I'll see you over there.